Okay, good morning. This is day 49 of little videos discussing day or thought in the life of schizophrenic Dominic, me, and I make these videos to share some sane thoughts of mine as the world has turned things around on me and told everyone that I'm crazy when the world went crazy around me. And okay, so I started these things off with a little intro, and you can skip ahead probably to about 3 minute mark. I'll make a note of it and write it out in the notes section of the YouTube video and on Threads and Facebook. I came to the realization while writing my book, which is a book on Medium.com. It's called Unveiling the Schizophrenic Tradition, and I have the various chapters there written, and it is on my pinned Facebook post comment section and on the bio section of Threads account. I came to the realization that while writing that book, that if I was going to describe myself to others, I'd describe myself as an itty-bitty writer who experiences schizophrenia. It is a reality to be experienced, and much of the reality can be attributed to coming into contact with systems and operations that are modern or advanced. I am just a one-time semi-activist and brain-damaged author now of that book on political surveillance, technology and society, and psychological operations. Much of the book also discusses thought processes that I have had that have possibly gotten me targeted all the way back since childhood in mind reading and stuff like that. This has put my brain into a schizophrenic functioning, and this targeting has possibly can be attributed to something called the Targeted Individual Program, but I don't like to use that language, even though I use it sometimes, because I feel like the Targeted Individual Program is an entire cognitive war operation. On day 17 of these little videos, I express that, along with other reasons why I feel like I should take up the mantle of schizophrenia and figure that out. I'm actually the recipient of organized political warfare, what NATO calls cognitive war, and what the former chief of Indian intelligence describes as neurostrike weaponry. And the Chinese also describe it as neurostrike weaponry. This has given me a condition characteristic of schizophrenia, and is more an experience with the classified and underworld section of reality. Potentially a global fascist governance, right-wing talk tied into communism, or classified sector of democratic government around the world, and corruption. Okay, so I've finished at 312 again today. Alright, so I'm going to get into my talking points today. Today is going to be a lot lighter fare. It's just going to be lighter stuff today. I've been seeing things about, protests and strikes and stuff like that, and so I think that's probably all good, considering we're going fascist. And if you don't respond now, when would you respond? I don't know a lot about these things. I don't know a lot about strikes and I don't think we've ever had a big strike in this country, but we've had some strikes, or bus strikes, or nurse strikes and stuff like that. So I don't know what those all entail, or how you go about getting critical services and needs to people at that time. But if we keep going down this road, we're all going to be living in a fascist haven of Elon Musk. So we're going to see trillionaires, and the rest of us will be dying with no Social Security or Medicare or something. I don't know. So I'm laughing, but it's not really funny. Like I said yesterday, not really funny matters. All right, I'm going to get into my other topics. The lighter fare today, so yeah. Okay, so I was reading in my book that it was discussing an entire town that was anti-wolf. That was the quote in the book. An entire town that was anti-wolf, and it had me thinking about how towns, just like the structure of towns and such, and how they're structured to a way to kind of control thoughts. Like in one town, everyone thinks this. In another town, everyone thinks that. Everyone flocks to the town where people think like them. Everyone flocks to the town, where people act and look like them or think like them and stuff. And I'm not saying everybody does that, but like to some degree, we do that all over the spectrum of stuff. And so I thought that was kind of interesting, like the idea of a town being totally anti-wolf. And so I had that thought, and it made me think about like the way that towns kind of control or mold thoughts or whatever of entire people in the town, and like just think about all like the churches, the schools, the school boards, the political government, the Knights of Columbus, or I'm not to single out Knights of Columbus because I did Knights of Columbus as a kid, but like just like little groups of organizations, like the little organizations in the towns or whatever, and like they will try to control like what the town thinks. And I suppose on some level that's necessary, like for instance to combat fascism, you want to have like maybe you want to have like some sort of group that is like, like an anti-fascist thing. Like, remember that time that crazy Hitler guy went around murdering all these people in this society that he said were the problem of the society? We don't want to do that. And like, anyways, so I thought that. All right, I'm gonna get into I didn't do lighter fare yet, but we're going into lighter fare. I saw yesterday on KTLA they were visiting Knott's Berry Farm, and I know that Knott's Berry Farm has been bought out by Magic Mountain, and or like Cedar Group, I think it is. So now Magic Mountain and Knott's Berry Farm have the same grouping controlling it. And so I was for the while I didn't want to go to Knott's Berry Farm because there were all these juvenile disturbances like brawls and shootings and stuff. But it looked fun over there with Charlie Brown, and I remember that as a kid. I might have some fun there. I don't know if the rides are herky-jerky. I don't remember a lot of rides. I remember Soapbox Derby. I remember Montezuma's Revenge. I remember Boomerang. I remember the little umbrella drop. So those were fun, all fun rides. Other than that, I can't say I remember a whole lot about it, but the Soapbox Derby was fun as heck for me as a kid. I wonder if they even still have it, but that was a really fun ride. Okay, so I bought Disney tickets for my birthday. I'm going to be taking a group of my family members to Disneyland, and we're going to go for a few days. It's a little pricey to do this kind of few day things, but I was able to save money for quite some time, and I guess I found out that it's an Italian thing to do is to spend money on your birthday to treat everybody to a good time, and so I'm hoping everybody has a good time. And so I did something innate. I was like, if I'm going to drag everybody to this trek along the amusement park, then I better be paying for them to have to put up with it. So I'm dragging them there for like days at a time. So it's going to be fun. Yeah, sometimes at Disneyland you get like 27,000 steps in. So it's a great exercise. If I live closer to Disneyland, I would definitely visit there more often. I would definitely spend my time at Disney more often if I lived closer. So, but at the way we go now, we go once every year and a half or so, and like to go in the spring or summer. We haven't done the fall yet or winter, but California you can get away with the winter. I think you just bundle up and it'd probably be okay. And so, yeah. Before Disney, I think, maybe even, I'm not sure when, but we're thinking about taking a trip to Hearst Castle, and in this trip, we'll be bringing my Aunt Darlene and Uncle Ollie along, because they haven't seen Hearst Castle, so that'll be fun, I think. It's really great up there in Cambria and things like that, so we're thinking about doing Hearst Castle with them, and a little bit later after that, maybe Grand Canyon. Right now, we're training for the Camino. We had to get over these fires, and then once we got over these fires, we could start thinking about those kind of things. So, we're taking a couple trips, nice little trips to maybe Hearst Castle and Grand Canyon. So that's the goal anyhow. I was watching on Instagram. Instagram's kind of nice because they show you all these like nice little places around town or around other cities, and I was seeing all these British and Irish pubs on Instagram, and it just reminds me of how superior pubs are to bars. Like, bars they're kind of gimmicky. They're a little bit rough around the edges, or just like kind of like, or kind of shallow. I don't know, but the British and Irish pubs are like homey, and British in particular, I think they have a way of creating really nice pubs, and I like Irish pubs too. But the Irish and the British pubs, the just pub culture is just a little bit better to me, and I don't know why it didn't catch on in America. It's like they didn't want us. I guess they were rejecting something about it, but I don't know what it was that they were rejecting by not having nice little pubs. I mean, they're just, I don't get it. I don't get the obsession with the bar here, or like the dive bar over a pub. I don't know why we don't do pubs in America. It's like we could at least bring that aspect of Britain over to America or Ireland or whatever, All right. So, in my book on baseball parks to visit, I was reading that there's a couple places in the Boston area. One was called Sunset Cantina, and supposedly they have really great nachos. It's over by Boston University. And another was a Japanese place called Kojoko. I suppose you can get Japanese pub food. I've never really had Japanese pub food. I don't know what that would entail. But anyways, those are two, Kojoko and Sunset Cantina. So if we ever go to a Boston game, maybe we can check those out. Alright, so I'm taking up Duo Lingo, and I'm doing 6 languages. I don't know why I didn't do this more often. I think I had people tell me, like, do Duolingo or something, and I was like, yeah. And I started it, and it's addicting and fun, and it's really cool, and I've just started a few lessons apiece in each language. I started Babbel for a month, but I'm just going straight over to Duolingo now for Spanish. And I'm doing Gaelic, Spanish, Norwegian, Japanese, Italian, and French. So those are the 6 languages, and I have a lot of time on my hands now that I'm not doing the class for because of the fires. They turn it around on you and say you're at fault, and so like I can't really show my face at PCC right now and be like people blaming me for some arbitrary thing that some terrorist group did. And so, I'm just kind of shying away from that. I don't need to put myself through that. I'm not in the mental space for that. And in any event, I'm going to go ahead and try to do Whole Foods when I get back from Spain. And so, this Duolingo is a nice thing. it's a great hobby to start up, and I'm excited by it. I'm learning, misu and kudasai for Japanese, which is please and